Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to Iyun Shulchan Orach. We just completed a long uh, siman, 26 ifim, about Shliach Tzibor. What was left out of the discussion is exactly what a Shliach Tzibor does. I mean, why do you have a Shliach Tzibor? It's called a Shliach Tzibor. He's called someone an emissary. He's called, an agent of the Tzibor. They're sending him to daven for them. What exactly is he doing? So when it comes to Kriyas HaTorah, I did ask Rav Nevinsol, who's the Rav of the old city of Yerushalayim. I asked him one time, and I was very happy that is what he said. I asked him, because people have told me, when I was younger, I was like 21 years old, I was in the mirror, and you always hear about all the good chumras over there in the mirror. So my friends were telling me, no, that there's a chiyuv on every person. You have to hear every word of Kriyas HaTorah. And therefore, sometimes, let's say, you go to America or something like that, and it works out. This year, it worked out that Shavuos, right, fell out on Sunday, right? Or Shavuos fell out. I don't know how it worked out exactly this year, but it ended up being that America is 1 week behind Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael read the Parsha Shavuot, and America, they didn't read the Parsha Shavuot. They moved over the next week, and for 5 or 6 weeks, you're missing. So what happens if you fly? You fly to America, or you fly from America to Eretz Yisrael during that point, so you missed a week of Kriyas HaTorah. So what do? You have to go look for that minyan. So I heard some poskim, some rabbanim say you got to look for that minyan. Kriyas HaTorah is a chova on the yachid, it's a chova on you as an individual person, and they do it with Tzibor, game motzi everybody in Kriyas HaTorah, and I didn't want this chomer upon me, but I had to ask a rabbi. I asked Victor Nebinsol after I davened at the Kosel. I think Shabbos morning, my friend told me to go down at the Kosel Shabbos. We went through the Arab Shuk. This was 2003, I think. Went through the Arab Shuk in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning at Daven Shachar. Then we had a Kiddush. Nevinsol, I was told he was a big rabbi, was over there. I asked him, is Kriyas HaTorah a chova on the Tzibor, or is it a chova on the Yachid? He said, no, it's a chova on the Tzibor. I gave him a big hug. No, I wouldn't give a rabbi a big hug like that, but I was very happy with this psak. And until this day, I reap the benefits of this. That, even if I have to step out in the middle of Kriyas HaTorah, I come late to Kriyas HaTorah. I'm not losing anything because it's a chova on the tzibur, not a chova on the yachid. What did he mean by that? It's a chova on the tzibur, not a chova on the yachid. Meaning, there's a lot of things that in Dar Sherdusha Pachos Ma'asara, the Gemara says in various places that if you want to say Kaddish or Kedusha or Baruch, these are things Dar Sherdusha. You need 10 people. You need a quorum of 10 people. Tefillah b'tzibur, quorum of 10 people. So, what is the idea when you need 10 people? Is the idea by Baruch and by Kaddish and Kedusha that you're answering for them? Is the pshat that in order to say it, we need 10 people? But all it remains is that it's a chova on the tzibur. When there's 10 people, this is what you do. You say. Or do I have a chova on myself every day of the week to make sure at every minyan I hear a baruch hu, to make sure I hear a kaddish, kedusha, to make sure I'm yotzei, all of these things. It's a chova on the yachid, and I have to join the tzibur. I have to join 10 people in order to be yotzei, in order to be motzi myself in these things. And who's being motzi me? The shliach tzibur being motzi me. So it seems to a lot of these halachas. For example, halacha dalit over here and Siman and Gimel. It seems that you need a lot of things. He has to be someone who's a learned person. He's someone who never did Averos. He has a good reputation. He's someone's an unav. Halacha, one of the halachas is that he pronounces the letters right. Because if he motzi you, we have halacha at the end. You have to have a big sitter, maybe to say the words correctly. You want him to say the words correctly to be motzi you. And likewise, if he's someone who's not of age, he's not 13 years, or he's 13 years, and he only has a chazaka that he's a gadol. We don't know for sure that he's a gadol. He wants to be motzi in a davar d'oraisa. We possibly can't be motzi in a davar d'oraisa. Right? It sounds like the Shulchan Aruch that he's being motzi you in the tefillos, and therefore we're concerned that if he's less than 13 years old, he can't be motzi you. And if he's 13 years old, he can only motzi you in dinim d'rabbanan until he's 20 years old, where we consume for sure he has a zaken on the bottom, he has a beard on his bottom, on his scrotum. So what's going on? It seems from the Shulchan Aruch that it's a halacha about being motzi you, and similarly, there's a halacha about whether a ger or a mamzer could be a shliach tzibur or not. There is an opinion. The Shulchan Aruch quotes in Sif Yud Tet, Yesh monim gerim lios shliach tzibur. Presumably because he's not part of the kal, not kal gerim likri kal. Mamzer is not part of the kal also. V'nidchu divrayim. their words are pushed away. The Mishnah Berurah doesn't, I don't think, issue conclusively a ruling over here. It depends on the machlokas whether Mamzer could write a Sefer Torah or not, or Tefillin, but it's the same issue over here. If he's being being motzi the kal, right? So he has to be part of the kal. If he's not part of the kal, how could he be motzi you? But if it's just a din that when you have 10 people, as a chova on the tzibur to say it, it doesn't have to be part of the kal. He's just saying the chovas hasibur. He's not being motzi the kal. Only someone who's a man can be motzi a man, and a woman can be motzi a woman, an eved can be motzi an eved, things like that. A woman can't be motzi a man for things, right? She can only be motzi mino in certain halachas. So if he's not mechuya, how could he motzi other people? If it's just a chovas hasibur, so sibur, you have 10 people, so now you have a chovas hasibur. Let him say it. He's not being motzi anybody. So it seems to the whole thing that he's being motzi, and I would say all these halachas really, especially the halachas, the most important halacha is halacha dalet over here, where they have certain qualifications in order to be a shliach tzibur. And one of the halachas is you have to pay to be a shliach. So you have to. It's better that the kal congregation should pay someone to be a shliach tzibur. So you should have more kavanah. Should be motzi you. You pay him, and he has to have certain qualifications. And in Siv Dalet, he has to be someone who never did averos, never did publicly did averos. He has to be someone who's an anav, has to have a nice voice, and he's Talmid Chacham, and can't be an Am Haaretz. So all these things seem to indicate that he's being motzi. Where's the source for this halakha? The source for the halakha is the Gemara in Tainis. The Gemara in Tainis is talking about when we didn't have rain, and you had to have a set of tinios. There's different levels. First, there's different things, and eventually, then you have the last resort is to have these fasts, right, with a public fast, and you have the shliach tzibur go in front and say an extra 6 brachos in Shemona Esrei. They added on. That's definitely motzi acher, because other people don't say those brachos, right? When it comes to Baruch Hu, so you answer to Baruch Hu. When someone says Kaddish, you answer Amen. When someone says Kedusha, you answer. When someone says these brachos, when someone does Chazaras Hashas, right, you answer Amen. Plus, you already daven tefillah biyachid, so he's not really being motzi you, you're chiyav. When it comes to there he's being motzi you. He's being motzi. The extra brachos are being motzi you. So there, it's where you need someone who's a distinguished person in order for him to have the right kavanas to be motzi you. But a regular shliach tzibur during the year, there's a lot of makom to say that he's just doing a chovas hasir. When you have 10 people, you do certain things. You say Baruch Hu, you do these things. You try to do them. If you can't do them, you can't do them. But he's not being motzi your chiyuv. There's no personal chiyuv to hear Baruch Hu every day, or personal chiyuv to hear Kaddish and Kedusha every day. There's no personal chiyuv. If that's true, so then maybe these halachas wouldn't apply to a regular shliach tzibur. You don't have to be such a baki, such a big Talmid Chacham to be a shliach tzibur. So that would be the nafkamina. And there is a minhag on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur to be more makbid. And he does mention this Mishnah Berurah of someone who's a shliach tzibur, someone who's more proficient in the davening, knows the davening. There also, I wouldn't say that he's being motzi you. It's just he wants to say the davening clearly with the right tunes. We talked about davening with tunes over here, whether it's a good thing or not a good thing. But somehow, even though if you conclude it's not a good thing to have a shliach tzibur who's marich in the tunes, somehow in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur it's okay to be marich on the tunes for 7 hours. I don't know. The Shulchan Aruch says you're not supposed to have someone who's elongating the tune, even if he's doing it l'shem shamayim, because it's tircha on the tzibur. So I don't know why on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur we allow it to not be a tircha on the tzibur. I'm part of the tzibur and I feel it's a tircha, so I think it's a problem. But certainly if he's just doing it to show off his voice, that's not a good thing. But Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, there is an idea that he wants to cause you to have more kavana. So he davens, a more distinguished person is davening, is leading the tefillah, and he's saying it clearer. So it's going to enable you to have more kavanah in your davening. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is a very opportune time, like we learned that Aseres Yamim should be in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, right? Hashem is more karov to you in a certain sense. So therefore, during those times, you want to have more kavanah. It makes sense that you want to have someone special to be a shliach tzibur, but not medina that he has to be motzi you. He's not being motzi you. There's nothing he's doing on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur except to be a shofar that he's being motzi you. You're basically saying everything, repeating everything yourself. So that's what I would say. My understanding of shliach tzibur is a shliach of the tzibur. When the tzibur becomes a tzibur, when you have 10 people, there are certain things you say. He's your shliach to do that. He's your emissary, but he's not being motzi you. Shliach tzibur, the correct word is chazan, right? Like he says at the end of the Mishnah Berurah, chazan. You see, you watch him, you watch what he does. All you do is watch. He's not being motzi you. The correct term would be a chazan, not a shliach tzibur. He's not a shliach. You know, we think you make a shliach to motzi you in a mitzvah. I don't think that's the correct version. Maybe we'll talk about more in Simon and Dal, the coming Simon, and we talk more about minyanim, about what exactly a shliach tzibur is. But to me, it seems like it's someone more. The chazan would be the better word than the shliach tzibur. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.